Hey everybody, and welcome to this A+ 1202 practice quiz for your A+ exam preparation. We're looking at Core 2 today, and I'm going to be giving you one question from every exam objective. So it should give you a pretty good idea of roughly how ready you are, at least in relation to the questions that I'll be showing you today. Don't want to waste your time. Let's go ahead and get straight into it with the first question. The first one reads, a user is experiencing slow searches on their computer. They want to rebuild the entire search index to improve performance. Which setting panel contains this option? Is it A, administrative tools, B, indexing options, C, file explorer options, or D, system? Pause the video if you need more time. Your answer is coming in 3, in 2, in 1. Here we go. Please pause the video if you need to. The answer is B, indexing options, guys. So the indexing options, right, configures what content is indexed by Windows Search to enable faster and more efficient file searches. You can add or remove specific locations from the index, rebuilding the entire search index, and specify which file type should be included. So long story short, if you want to change how your Windows system searches for things, you are going to be using indexing options to do that. So this particular question, they wanted to rebuild the entire search index to improve the performance. They want to change how their system is searching for things on their system, on their computer. In order to do that, you're going to indexing options. All right, let's have a look at what the other ones could have been as well. Administrative tools was another option that we could have potentially chosen. This is essentially a collection of tools such as your event viewer, your services, your computer management, and your task scheduler. And there's more in there as well, but these are some of the main ones, right? It has a lot of these administrative sort of things that you would use to see, hey, are there any errors that have popped up or any events that I need to be aware of in event viewer? If you need to manage any background processes and their startup behavior, etc., in services, right? Anything to do with administrative type tasks, the administrative tools section will have those all in one place for you. So if the question said something to the effect of the person is looking for an easy way to access all essential administrative tools in one spot, or something to that effect, the wording would probably be slightly different. Administrative tools would be your answer then for that one. Another one was File Explorer options. You may have potentially chosen this one because it is to do with File Explorer. So you may have thought, hey, this question is talking about searching, File Explorer searches. It must be this one, right? Not necessarily. Okay, File Explorer options allows you to personalize how your Windows File Explorer behaves and appears, not necessarily how it searches exactly. Indexing is about how it searches. File Explorer options is about pretty much everything else. So for example, you can enable or disable your ability to view hidden files. You can hide extensions. You can configure how File Explorer opens. You can also manage advanced display settings for folders, such as showing empty drives or file size information as well. So you see how this isn't about how it searches. It's about kind of everything else that you could change about it, right? Indexing is about changing how it searches. File Explorer options is about changing pretty much everything else about how File Explorer operates. All right, and the last option that you could have chosen was system. Now the system setting is a centralized hub for viewing fundamental computer information. So we're looking at your hardware overview, changing things to do with remote access, RDP, system protection, and advanced settings as well, such as your virtual memory configuration and environmental variables management. If it's about changing things in your system itself, you're going to use system. In this case, we were looking at changing how your system searches, and indexing was the correct answer for that one. So hopefully that helped, guys. This was from exam objective 1.6, configuring Microsoft Windows settings. So you'll need to know about everything you see on your screen there for this particular exam objective. The next question reads, a hacker discovers a previously unknown and unpatched vulnerability in a popular web browser and exploits it to deploy malware on users' computers. Since the software developer was unaware of the flaw, no security fix was available. What type of attack is this? Is it A, a zero-day attack, B, SQL injection, C, cross-site scripting, in other words, XSS, or D, dictionary attack? Pause the video if you do need more time. The answer is coming in 3, 2, 1. That's right, your answer is a zero-day attack. Now, a zero-day attack is an attack that exploits a previously unknown vulnerability. Zero-day basically means that no one knows about this. The developer had 0 days to fix the flaw because no one even knew it existed. The first time anyone found out about it is when the hacker actually initiated this attack. So because the vulnerability was unknown, there is no patch or security fix available. And that was the giveaway in the question, guys. The question actually said, the software developer was unaware of the flaw, no security fix was available. And they also said that the vulnerability was previously unknown and unpatched. So that's the giveaway on why it was a zero-day attack. Let's have a look at these other options and make sure we know what those are as well, because we'll need to for your exam. One was an SQL injection attack. Now, that is essentially when you inject or type in malicious SQL, which is just a certain type of coding like language, right? We don't need to know any more than that, but it's a specific type of code into input fields on a web application. So you go to a website, there's an input field, it might be asking for your name, something to that effect. If you can input SQL code, there's a chance that there may be a vulnerability where that input is actually directly incorporated into the database query. So that website will take that code, take it back to the database, and that code will actually action. The database will read that code as a command, and then that injected code can be executed by the database, allowing attackers to potentially bypass security measures, access, modify, or delete sensitive data, or potentially gain full administrative control over the database server. You can also use it to, sometimes the SQL code you might use code designed to get the database to give you a list of usernames and passwords as well, for example. So it's a critical vulnerability that really you need to make sure it doesn't exist. But an SQL injection attack is trying to insert code into input fields so that the website's database reads that code as a command and gives that person something that they want. That is compared to one that you may get confused between these two, cross-site scripting attack. So a cross-site scripting attack involves injecting malicious client-side scripts into web pages viewed by other users. Now the key here is, if we go back to SQL injection, this is the code is being read by the database, and the database is returning some sort of information to that hacker. With a cross-site scripting attack, the code is injected into the web page, and then the attacker is aiming to exploit the vulnerability in that web page or web application that fails to properly sanitize the user input before rendering it on a page, which means essentially that an unsuspecting user may then visit the compromised page, and that unsuspecting person's browser executes the malicious script. So cross-site scripting, you're trying to execute that script on another individual's computer, whereas with SQL injection, you're attempting to execute that code in the database to get something back from that database. So that's the distinction there. So it can lead to things such as the theft of cookies and session tokens, defacing websites or redirecting users to malicious sites as well, or execution of arbitrary code within the user's browser, enabling further attacks too. So long story short, what you need to know, really important to kind of pay attention to this one, SQL attack is interacting with a database, cross-site scripting is interacting with another user. Okay, that's going to be the key thing that helps you differentiate the two. The last one that we could have chosen is a dictionary attack. That's essentially where you're doing a brute force attack. You're using a list, not of random numbers or letters, but of common passwords, commonly known passwords. So they use pre-compiled dictionaries of popular passwords, and they just try all of the most popular passwords, hoping that someone has used one of those. So this is a subcategory of brute force attack, but a brute force attack uses random combinations. A dictionary attack uses commonly known passwords. That's the key distinction. Now this one came from exam objective 2.5, so you need to know about the different social engineering, the different threats, and the different vulnerabilities for this one. All right, let's get into the next question, which is our second last one for this video. Hey guys, this video is sponsored by the A+ Core 1 and Core 2 Ultimate Learning Guide. This learning guide has helped many people pass their Core 1 and Core 2 exams, meaning that they can move on to their Network Plus and Security Plus sooner rather than later. In the learning guide, here's what you will get: detailed notes, revision notes, active recall questions, and multiple choice questions for every single exam objective. 3 full-length practice exams exams with performance-based questions, a document with performance-based questions, a video showing you exactly how to study using multiple choice questions so you will be moving ahead of 99% of other people at a much faster rate because you are studying more effectively, a video giving you test-taking tips in case you get stuck on a question in the exam, a video showing you how to use free AI tools to 10 times your study sessions, and best of all, I want this to be accessible to everyone regardless of your economic position, so I've made it extremely affordable. So if this sounds good to you, you can head over to journeytocyber.com and grab your A+ Core 1 or Core 2 learning guide today. This question reads, while browsing the internet on your mobile phone, you observe an unusually high number of aggressive, persistent pop-up advertisements suggesting an adware infection. Suddenly, a new screen appears with a professional-looking security alert warning that claims your phone is critically infected and prompts you to click a button to install an urgent security update. What is the most appropriate and secure course of action to take? A. Click the Install Security Update button immediately as the high number of ads confirms the device is infected and you need a quick fix. B. Check your device's data usage settings to see which app is consuming the most traffic and then close that app and restart the device. C. Immediately close the suspicious security alert window and then run a comprehensive anti-malware scan to identify and remove the hidden source of the excessive ads. Or D. Because the device is clearly malfunctioning, perform a factory reset right away without attempting to back up any data. Pause the video if you need more time. I hope you don't for this one. All right, answer coming in 3, 2, 1. That's right, your answer is close that window and perform a comprehensive anti-malware scan. All right, so you want to make sure that you don't open these, you close them straight away, perform an anti-malware scan if you have this happen because it is absolutely a sign of malware and you want to make sure you get rid of that as soon as you can. I'm not going to go through why the other options weren't correct. Just know if you see this, you do need to not open those notifications and you do need to perform an anti-malware scan. All right, now that was from exam objective 3.3. a lot of these are kind of intuitive, guys. Like, it's pretty intuitive not to open those windows, right? So the objective that this one was from was troubleshooting common mobile security issues. So you need to know about what you need to do when all of these things happen and how you can tell if these are a sign of malware or not, because it specifies security issues. Okay, so it's all largely going to be centered around malware or security vulnerabilities as well. All right, the last question is, what is the main difference between the grandfather, father-son backup strategy and the 3-2-1 backup rule? A. The GFS strategy specifies the frequency of backups, while the 3-2-1 rule is a strategy for storing and managing backups to ensure data integrity. Or B. The GFS strategy only applies to full backups, while the 3-2-1 rule applies only to incremental backups. Or C. The GFS strategy is a more modern approach, while the 3-2-1 rule is an older, outdated method. Or D. The GFS strategy is a simpler method for a single user, while the 3-2-1 rule is for large enterprises only. Pause the video if you need more time. Your answer coming in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. It is A, guys. The GFS strategy specifies the frequency of backups, and the 3-2-1 rule is talking about integrity. So let's get into these specifically. The grandfather, father, son, or GFS backup idea, right, is essentially, or rotation scheme, is a time-tested strategy for managing data backups, providing a balanced approach to data recovery and archival. It leverages a layered schedule with varying frequencies, ensuring both recent recovery points and long-term historical data. So basically, right, you've got your grandfather at the top, you've got your father in the middle, and you've got your son at the bottom. What does this actually mean? It means the grandfather is like a large backup that's going to take a long time, but you don't want to do that particularly frequently, right? Because it takes so much time. The father is a smaller, but still, decently sized backup, which you might do at a increased frequency when compared to the grandfather, but nowhere near as often as the son. And the son is the a regular backup that's going to occur, but it's not containing a whole lot of information or data. All right, so let's say you might perform a full backup, or the grandfather, like once every month. Just for example's sake, once every 2 weeks you might perform let's say a differential backup, and then once a week, or maybe once every few days, you might perform an incremental backup, which is the son. Just as an example of what that might look like, right? Everyone's going to do it a bit different, but that's the general idea behind it. All right, and then the 3-2-1 backup rule is basically a strategy where you are keeping 3 different copies of data at all time, and those 3 copies are on 2 different media types. So maybe USB and cloud, or hard drive and USB, for example. And you have one of those 3 copies off-site. Why have one off-site? Well, because that means if there's some sort of local disaster, you will still have access to that data because it was not in the location where that disaster occurred. All right. So by following this rule, it means you'll pretty much always be able to recover your data. All right. So with that being said, guys, that was from exam objective 4.3. You'll need to know about all these different backup ideas, right? Full incremental differential synthetic, in place, overwrite alternative location, the frequency of backup testing, and the specific schemes we talked about with on-site versus off-site, GFS, and 3-2-1. We talked about those there. Okay, now guys, look, if you have enjoyed this video, you may be interested in the ultimate learning guide that I have to offer over at journeytocyber.com, right? People have, in fact, passed the A+ by using this. So if you saw it in the sponsored section of this video and you want to have a quick squiz at it, you want to get it for yourself, you can head over to journeytocyber.com or hit the link in the description down below or the pinned comment down below. But otherwise, guys, hey, I will see you in the next video, and please let me know when you pass your A+ 1202, because you will, and I know you will, and I can't wait to hear from you. All right, bye guys.